Welcome to another vividaquariums.com video. I'm Dave, and today I'm going to talk to you about cleanup crews for your reef aquarium. Here we have the cleanup crew page on our website. You can find that by going to coral and invertebrates and then go over to cleanup crew and click there, and that'll take you to this page. Here we have all the different snails and crabs and fish, starfish and urchins and critters that will be useful in helping to keep your aquarium looking its best. So we're going to walk through these one by one and talk about them. The Sorriest snail is a great snail for helping to eat algae in the aquarium. It'll graze over the rocks and the glass, eating filamentous algae and shorter types of algae in the aquarium. It's a great choice. I find it usually useful to add a mixture of snails to a tank. Different types of snails and crabs concentrate more on different types of algae. The turbo grazer snail is a very good choice, very useful at eating algae. The only downfall is they're a bit larger shells, so they can end up knocking corals over sometimes if you don't have your corals securely mounted into the aquarium. But definitely a great algae eater, and they will do a good job to help your tank, keep your tank clean. Nassarius snails do not eat algae. They actually feed on detritus and waste in the aquarium. If you feed your fish too much food, these guys will come out of the sand bed and eat the food. They're definitely worthwhile having in most reef tanks. The only thing to consider is that sometimes, certainly if you have a clam in the sand bed, the clam's a little bit unhealthy. Sorriest snails can attack clams from time to time. Not usually a concern, but it definitely can happen. So instead of Sorriest snails, you can use conches and starfish to sift the sand. We'll get to those in a minute. The Trochus snail is probably my favorite snail for helping to keep a reef aquarium clean. They're one of the best snails when it comes to flipping themselves back over if they fall off the rocks. And they're a great algae eater. They eat a good variety of different types of algae. Very useful in any reef tank, and I think every reef tank should have Trochus snails. The Scarlet reef hermit is a good, sharp-looking hermit crab. Again, great for eating different types of filamentous algae. They'll graze over the sand and the rocks, scavenging for algae. With the Scarlet reef hermits, you do want to make sure to have a few extra shells laying around the aquarium, so as they grow, they can actually upgrade their home to a larger shell. The same thing goes for the electric blue hermits. These are very sharp-looking hermit crabs, beautiful bands of blue and black on their legs and their orange antennas. Also very useful in helping to keep your tank looking its best. You can keep them along with some of the red leg hermits in larger tanks, and definitely a great addition to any cleanup crew. The Erol Crab is very useful. This is especially good cleanup crew member. Every tank should have one because they're one of the best to feed on and help control bubble algae in a reef tank. Bubble algae, if left alone, can actually end up smothering corals and killing corals. So having an emerald crab or two is a great choice for any reef aquarium. Go to the next item here is a sallylightfoot crab. They're similar to emerald crabs in terms of being good algae eaters, but they don't do much for bubble algae. They will eat other types of algae. They'll eat leftover meat in the aquarium as well. So if you feed the fish a little extra food, they'll probably scavenge and pick up the scraps. So a good cleaner to have around the tank as well. The Tonga fighting conch is a good choice, especially if you decide against the nassarius snails. The Tonga conch is great because they have never been a problem attacking clams like nassarius snails that I've noticed, and definitely will help to keep your sand bed stirred and healthy. So a great choice for the tank. They don't feed much on algae, but they do eat detritus and scraps of food left over by the fish, different meaty foods. Erol crabs are useful in helping to control bristle worms in the aquarium. Really neat to see them walk around the tank and climb over the corals. Definitely will help to control or actually eat extra pieces of meat and scraps. But they can bother as they get larger, sometimes bother very small fish and other very small invertebrates. But usually very safe choice for most reef tanks. The green brittle star is a great scavenger. They'll eat any fish that dies in the aquarium. They'll eat scraps of meaty foods left around the tank. But as they become more mature, they can get quite aggressive and can go after and attack smaller fish in their sleep. So A lot of times you want to be careful adding these to tanks, especially into smaller nano tanks where you have a lot of small fish. The lettuce nudibranch is very useful for helping to control different types of algae. Will forage over the rocks, and beautiful. Actually, one of the few nudibranchs is pretty easy to keep in the home aquarium, and very, very pretty as they graze over the rocks, foraging for algae. The black longspine urchin is a good choice. Very good algae eater to eat some of the tougher hair algae, even help sometimes with bryopsis. You want to be careful not to get stung by the sharp tentacles. Obviously that wouldn't be fun, but definitely great cleaners for the tank. Idea with these, you want to get them small. Over the course of a year or year and a half, they'll grow pretty big. They may outgrow the tank, but usually you can trade them into your local shop. The sand sifting starfish is a great way to help keep your sand bed looking its best. They're constantly moving up and down through the sand bed, keeping it stirred. They're an omnivore, so they will eat detritus and other waste elements in the sand bed, and definitely worthwhile having in every reef aquarium. Cleaner shrimp is a good all-around scavenger. They help obviously to control parasites such as ick in the reef tank. They'll also scavenge throughout the reef for scraps and meaty foods left over by the fish, and every reef tank should definitely have a cleaner shrimp. And now we have 3 blennies here: the lawnmower blenny, the tailspot blenny, and the starry blenny. The tailspot blenny we'll start with. This is a great blenny for nano size reef aquariums, especially because it stays very small. It's a great algae eater, and will really go a long way towards helping keep your tank looking its best. If you have a larger reef tank, you can go with either the lawnmower or the starry blenny. To add these both to the same aquarium, or to add more than 2 to the same aquarium, you need to have a very large tank, as they could start fighting. But usually they're just best kept singly. But lawnmower especially will live up to its name. Does a great job keeping that algae under control for you. Now, tigertail cucumber is a really interesting omnivore. This will scavenge through the sand. It'll actually eat sand. It goes in one end and comes out the other end clean. And really neat. They'll forage throughout the aquarium, in and out of the rocks, and they do help to keep the sand clean in your tank. You can also go with a pink cucumber. They do a similar job, just a different coloration, a little bit larger than the tigertail, but also a good choice for a reef tank, especially for larger reef tanks. The last thing we'll go through here is the blue tuxedo urchin. This is the urchin of choice for me here at Vivid Aquariums. I like it because the spines aren't so long, so they don't tend to knock over disturbed corals as much as a black longspine can. Also, if you happen to touch them, they're not going to poke you nearly so bad as the black longspine urchin, and they do a great job eating different algae, especially some of the tougher hair algae and bryopsis. So definitely a blue tuxedo is a great choice for any tank. Now, if you're wondering what a basic cleanup crew would look like for your aquarium, we have set up 3 of them here. We have a 25 to 40 gallon scrub crew, a 50 to 90 gallon scrub crew, and a 120 to 180 gallon scrub crew. And these scrub crews or cleanup crews are comprised of a mixture. For instance, the small crew, you'll get 1 lawnmower blenny, 7 astrea snails, 4 nassarius snails, an emerald or sallylightfoot crab, and 8 red-leg hermits. And this is a good mix for a 25 to 40 gallon tank. So we've had these crews designed to help if you don't have any cleanup crew members, but if you already have some, most all the items on this page, you'll notice, for instance, on the emerald crab, $7.49 a piece, but if you buy 3 or more, the price drops. So you get quantity discounts for buying more if you need more. Main thing is you want to buy enough to keep your tank clean, but not too many to where they eat the algae and then end up starving. So the best thing with a cleanup crew, as with any fish or coral you add to your aquarium, is to add them slowly over time, so you make sure not to overdo it. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to log on to our forum or Facebook or give us a call. We're more than happy to help you pick the right cleanup crew for your tank. Thanks for watching, guys.